This is Doug DeMuro, and today I'm going to give you my dream garage for $100,000. I made a 3-car garage, 3 cars that kind of fit all your basic needs for $100,000 total. And today I'm going to talk you through it. Before we get started, are you ready for your next cool car? Sell your enthusiast car on Cars and Bids. Trading in your car to dealers means you aren't getting market value for your car, leaving you with less cash for your next fun car. Just look at our recent sales of these cool cars compared to current trade-in value. This is a trade-in offer, and this was the Cars and Bids result. This is a trade-in offer, and this was the Cars and Bids result. This is the trade-in offer, and this is the Cars and Bids result. Get started now on carsandbids.com. Sell on Cars and Bids and join the best community to sell your enthusiast car. Okay, so my dream garage for $100,000. This is based on, we get a lot of questions on our podcast. What would you buy if you had to limit all your cars to $100,000? Or what would you buy that replaced your cars for the X number of price point, whatever it is, that provides sort of similar experience? And so I've been thinking about it. What would I get if I really had to stick to a very set budget for 3 total cars? Saying, oh, well, one can be expensive, but then you're stuck with 2 other cheap ones or whatever. It's sort of this push-pull. And I started to think about it. And I came up with what I think would be my dream garage for $100,000. And I'm going to start with what I would consider to be sort of my robust workhorse daily driver slash off-roader slash kid hauler slash can do it all, which is a 100 series Toyota Land Cruiser. And specifically, I would go after an 03 to 05 Land Cruiser. There were 2 facelifts on the 100 series Land Cruiser sold in the States. There was one in 03, which kind of modernized things a little bit, and there was another one in 06. The 06, 07 models are the ones I want the most, and even Doug without a budget constraint kind of wants one. But Doug with a budget constraint, it's got to go after an 03, 05. And they're still great cars, and I found this one that we sold on Cars and Bids for right around $17,000. This actually isn't out of the norm for these in terms of price point. Sometimes they'll go into the mid-20s or even higher than that if they're really low mileage, really rust-free, really perfect cars. But they're very hard to find in that condition. Basically, everyone that you find is going to have between 150 and 250,000 miles, a little bit of rust, definitely some wear. However, the 4.7 liter Toyota V8 is probably the most thoroughly dependable V8 engine that Toyota ever made. And beyond that, I think the 100 series was the high watermark for the Land Cruiser in the United States. I owned a 200 series, the next gen car, and it was problematic. And if you're honest, if 200 series owners are honest with themselves, and many of them are, there is work that must be done in order to bulletproof a 200 series Land Cruiser to get it to the point that a 100 series Land Cruiser is. But even after you've done that, you are still left with a more gas guzzling, larger, floatier, kind of less just boxy, understated, fits in, does it all vehicle than the already ultra reliable 100 series Land Cruiser, which is, by the way, cheaper to buy, just as capable, just as luxurious. And so I would pursue a 100 series as my sort of main daily driver type vehicle. As a sports car, I think for my $100,000 budget, given that I would want to get 2 more cars, I wouldn't be able to go all out on a sports car, a sort of a usable, fun sports car. I wouldn't be able to spend, 80. I would love to get a Cayman GT4. That would be like my second one. And I'll tell you something, a 100 series Land Cruiser and a Cayman GT4, if that's your garage, that's all you need. You're absolutely killing it. You've won the game. But for $100,000, I can't do that. Cayman GT4s are $85,000 at the very least. Most of them are $95,000 to $100,000. It's not going to happen. So what's sort of an alternative that's cheaper? The answer is obvious, a Honda S2000. A Honda S2000 provides Porsche levels of driving enjoyment, driving excitement, driving fun while maintaining a more easier to own, more reliability, and obviously a lot cheaper to buy. I found this S2000 for $29,000, which is absolutely not an outlier. In fact, it's on the expensive side. This is a relatively low mile, unmodified red car. If you want to find a modified, miled up, many owner car, you can find these in the high teens. But I would want like a pretty nice usable car to go along with my nice usable Land Cruiser. I find the S2000 to just be one of the most enjoyable modern cars to use. And I'm also sitting here cognizant of repair bills, maintenance, etc. when I'm thinking about this Dream 3-car garage. I actually find the Mazda RX-8 to be be almost more enjoyable to drive. I found the powertrain to definitely be more fun to use. I would miss the convertible aspect of the S2000. However, an RX-8 is a difficult car to own. It's got reliability issues, it's expensive to own. The S2000 doesn't have any of those problems. Very reliable car, and the stuff that does break is so beautifully documented on the internet with forums and fan pages, Facebook pages, that the S2000 is just an absolute killer car that would make a fantastic second car in my dream two-car garage. And it's pretty cool also because you're sitting here and for $45,000 to $50,000, you have two major boxes checked in your dream three-car garage. And you've basically solved two big problems, which is you have kind of the off-roader family car that can go anywhere, luxury vehicle on road trips and carry you out to the desert for camping trips and bring the dog and the kids and all that. And you've got the fun weekend car. What I would be missing in this group, and what I would want to use the rest of my budget for, is a fun, daily, usable car that actually adds some practicality. I don't always want to be driving an SUV when I have to do any practicality chore, but at the same time, for me, an S2000 can't fit my kids, my pets, anything. It doesn't do anything other than basically create fun. And it's great at that, but it's not practical. And so I would want a third car that added practicality that I could use on a day-to-day basis when I didn't need to haul something in my Land Cruiser or when I couldn't go out and have fun with just me in my S2000. And I thought a lot about this, and I have $54,000 to play with. And what I came up with was this 2023 Cadillac CT4V Blackwing, which we sold on Cars and Bids a few months ago for exactly $54,250. I love this car. I think obviously what I'd rather have is a CT5V Blackwing, but failing that, this car offers a relatively roomy interior and modern technology combined with a great chassis, a great powertrain, a manual transmission, enjoyable tossability. Based on the success of the earlier generation CTSV and ATSV, these cars are not losing significant value. They're definitely depreciating, but not at a crazy rate. And you have to factor in, it has 475 horsepower and about 445 pound-feet of torque. This is a fast car. It's fun, it's twin turbo. I've driven them. They're sprightly, they are athletic, they are cool, they are fun to drive. And so then if I get this, I've spent my 100 grand, but I have an amazing three-car garage. I have a daily usable car that is fun. I have a weekend car that is even more fun, and I still have a third totally reliable, park it on the street, don't think about it SUV for the road trips and the other tasks. And I think that that is a pretty damn cool three-car garage. However, I was thinking about this and I was like, you know, if you were willing to drive that Land Cruiser every day, you could. One thing that I would miss personally, I really enjoy driving around in what I consider to be special cars. The Ford GT, the Carrera GT, the Countach, they're all special cars. When you drive them around, it's cool. It's an amazing experience. It feels like you're doing something that, like, you're in on a secret nobody else has. People are freaking out on the road. You're having a different driving experience than even the person driving next to you at the exact same speed, just sitting in a boring Tesla doing nothing, when you're driving like a truly special car. And so I was thinking, what I would really miss is having a special car. And so I came up with an alternative to my CT4V Blackwing, which is this 1989 Ferrari Mondial T. The Mondial is maligned in the car enthusiast world as being kind of the silly Ferrari, the bad Ferrari. But a couple years ago, we had in our office that I reviewed for a Cars and Bids video, we had a Mondial T Cabriolet, and I drove it, and I was just so blown away by how good it was to drive. You were driving a gated manual, naturally aspirated V8 Ferrari. It is not the best looking. It is not dynamically the best. It is not the fastest, but it has so many wonderful benefits that I really loved. And I just couldn't. For this car sold for $35,000. Obviously, my CT4V Blackwing was $55,000. So it gives me a $20,000 delta where I could either purchase another car or use it for the inevitable maintenance and repairs that this Ferrari is going to have. But I do think that in this dream scenario where 100 grand is my cap, driving around my S2000 is an awesome car. The 100 Series Land Cruiser is an awesome car. Neither of them are special, but neither of those cars people look at and they're like, whoa, that's so cool. Neither of those cars do you sit there and think, think I'm driving something that like really had an impact. And even though it's a Mondial, this is still like an Enzo was alive, gated manual, wedge-shaped Ferrari that's cool. And as an added bonus of practicality, it has back seats. And by the way, I would specifically go after a Mondial T because that's the one I drove. That was the best of breed of the Mondial era. And it is actually a pretty damn good car, despite what some people say about the Mondial in general. I actually thought it was a shockingly fun car to drive. And I think if the Mondial had debuted as the T, it wouldn't have gotten so much hate. It had decent power, which is 300 horsepower, and a car that size, pretty good. And it was fun to toss around. Little, tossable, very athletic car. And so I think a more adventurous version of me probably would go after the Mondial to be able to have just something a little bit more special in addition to already great other cars. But there you go. I get asked this a lot. What would you do if you had to pare down, really budget to get your cars? What would you end up with? And I think this is exactly the $100,000 garage of my choice. And I think I would be really happy with that garage. It certainly wouldn't be the Carrera GT and the Countach and all that stuff, but I do think it would be a pretty special group of cars that I would be pretty happy to have.